And I'm not going to talk about the Orioles, but I'm going to talk a little bit about baseball. So something very unusual happened in baseball this week. Actually, it was historical, first time it's ever happened in the entire history of Major League Baseball. Anyone know what it was? Rabbi Zaslow?
Spouse was like, you have to know that this happened. So there was a guy who got traded to another team, and then he ended up playing the first half of the game, which was like many months ago, on one team, and then he was traded to the opposing team, and he had to play against his former team.
Yes. That's so.
Right?
So yes, that's true. So. See, I told Rabbi Zaslow recently a story about, that's a different story. Yeah. So player's named Danny Jansen. On June 26th, he was playing for the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Toronto Blue Jays were playing a game in Fenway Park in Boston against the Boston Red Sox, and the game was suspended in the second inning, I think it was the second inning, during his at-bat, when he was playing, it happens sometimes in baseball. So he was up at the plate for the Blue Jays, okay? June 26th. In the course of time since then, he was traded to the Red Sox, but they needed to make that game up. They had to finish the game, and the rules of baseball are such that when a game is interrupted in that way, it resumes at exactly the same place. So a batter walks up to the plate with the same count that the batter had when the game was suspended. It was 0-1, I think was the count. So what they did was, and Danny Jansen was the player, he had been up at the time for the Blue Jays, and now he was the catcher for the Red Sox. So what they did was, the Blue Jays had his name on the scorecard, and then they substituted for him a pinch hitter who went in and batted for him, and then the Red Sox manager put his name in to be the catcher for the Red Sox. So he was on the scorecard for the Blue Jays and the Red Sox in the very same game. I don't even know who won the game, actually. Does anyone know? Who cares who won the game? They both lost. No. But the thing that was striking to me about that was that, everyone made a big deal about it. They said it's the first time it's ever happened. It's not the first time it's ever happened. It's not the first time. It's the first time it ever happened in Major League Baseball. But I did the same thing. I did. And here's how it happened. About, 16, 17 years ago, my cousin's son was having a bar mitzvah over at Chizuk Emunah. And Rabbi Zayman, who always loved to find ways to not have to give sermons, God bless him, he was a wonderful man, and he called me up. He said, it's your cousin's son's bar mitzvah, you're going to be in shul, you're going to come to Chizuk. I said, I think so. Let me ask Rabbi Loeb. And so he said, if you're here, you'll give the sermon at Chizuk. So I said, okay. So I go to Rabbi Loeb and I say, it's my cousin's son's bar mitzvah. I want to go to Chizuk to be with the family for the simcha. And Joel Zayman asked me to give the sermon. And Mark, classic, inimitable Mark Loeb, he says, do shacharit here. He says, do shacharit here at Bethel, and then go over to Chizuk Emunah and give the sermon. If you're not there on time, they'll wait for you. That's what he said. So that's what I did. I was here at Bethel. In those days, we wore robes on the bima. Many of you will remember that. I conducted shacharit services here. I walked off the bima. I went over to Chizuk Emunah, and I stood in the pulpit and gave the sermon there. It's like being on two teams in the same game, isn't it? But I think that, in a way, all of this is a kind of metaphor for the multitasking universe that we live in today. We are so constantly pulled simultaneously in different directions. I mean, it happens in all different kinds of ways. It happens psychologically. Sometimes it happens physically. We're just scrambling around in a way that I really think we never have been before. And even the moments that used to be quiet moments, like sometimes driving was a quiet moment. No one could reach you in your car, or hiking in the woods, or whatever. These days, it's not a quiet moment anymore because, your phone could go off at any time. With a phone call, forget about dinging and whatever with texts and emails that are coming in. So just this constant state of multitasking. And when you're, conducting shacharit services at Bethel and giving the sermon at Chizuk Emunah on the same day, how are you supposed to know where you are? Or really, how are you supposed to know where you are or what you're doing? And I think maybe part of the answer to that question is to try to get as deep as you can an understanding of what it is that really grounds you in place. What are the things that you can sense in your life that doesn't matter if you're at Chizuk Emunah or at Bethel or playing for the Red Sox or the Blue Jays or whatever, that that's me. That's who I am. That's what's important to me. And that's what keeps me connected, and that's what keeps me grounded. In other words, like your mind might be over here, your body might be over here, but where's your heart? Where's your heart, And can you figure out a way to keep your heart in a consistent place, right? So it's a time of year when rabbis think a lot about the holidays, because the holidays are about a month away, a little more than a month away at this point. Anyone remember the name of the machzor we use? Rabbi Zaslav, of course you know the name. I hope you know the name. Anyone else? Lev Shalem. Lev Shalem. Yeah, Lev Shalem. What does it mean? Well, it means like a whole heart. So Lev is heart in Hebrew, Lev. Shalem comes from shalom, right? Shalom, which means peace. But you take, Hebrew's root-oriented language, we've talked about it. You take that word shalom and you make it into shlemut, same root, shlemut. It means wholeness. What's the connection? Because there's a sense that when there's peace, there's wholeness, right? So Lev Shalem, our machzor, comes from a line actually in the Amidah, but Levav Shalem, right? It's a line in the Amidah for the Yantif. But our machzor, the idea, where is your whole heart? Where do you get that whole heart? Where does it come from? How do you find it? And when you find it, how do you keep it and keep it shalem, whole? Shabbat shalom.